Hey team, it's Lauren. I'm here today with your first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu technique video. Today we're going to take a look at our fighting stance in Jiu-Jitsu, the straight bump, and the side bump. Okay, so you may be familiar with the fighting stance for a striker. Shoulders up, fists up, legs slightly staggered, chin down. This is a boxer stance, right? In Jiu-Jitsu, since we're grappling, we're on the ground, our fighting stance looks a little different. I'll demonstrate. In Jiu-Jitsu, we're on our back, our knees are bent, our ankles are in tight to our bottom, our elbows are in tight, and our hands are here at the center, like above our sternum. This is called prayer position. You can either literally close your hands like you're praying, or you can leave them slightly open, but this protects us from weight coming down. And this makes it easy to make frames, which we'll learn later. So again, knees bent, ankles in, elbows in, hands at center over sternum. This is our fighting stance in Jiu-Jitsu. As you get a little bit more advanced, you'll pick your head up off the mat, because we never want to be flat on our back on the ground. We're not that strong here. But when we can raise our hips up a little bit off the mat and raise our head up so that the weight is in our shoulders and our feet, we're stronger here. Now we have a little space. Now we can move and move more quickly. But we will get there one thing at a time. All right, so from our fighting stance, our first foundational technique is the straight bump. All you're going to do is take the headlights of your hip bones and raise them straight to the ceiling. It's kind of like a bridge in yoga. Now, when I'm in this position, I feel muscle tightness, contraction, in my tops of my thighs and my quadriceps, around my knees, but that also could just be because I'm in my 40s and my knees are in their 40s. And I also feel tightness in my hips and glutes back here. If you're holding with me, you can release. I'd like you to try again to do your straight bump and to do a body scan and see where you feel it. So we're gonna bump in just a second. I'm gonna say body scan. I'll call attention to different parts. And I want you to see if you can sense your muscles in those places. If you can't, that is okay. Especially if you've experienced trauma, it's very common for you not to be too tuned into the sensations in your body just yet. But that is going to be something that we work on, that we use Jiu-Jitsu for on this team. So don't get frustrated if you can't feel it yet. But the more you practice, and the more mindful you are, the easier it will become, okay? So let's try again. All right, knees bent, ankles in tight, elbows tucked, hands in prayer position, and straight bump. Okay, now scan and see where you can feel your weight. Where is your weight in your body? For me, I can feel the weight in the heels of both feet and across my shoulder blades because I have my head picked up off the ground a little bit. All right, now scan your legs and see where you can feel contraction. Maybe start at your ankles, go up your calves. Do you feel anything here? Feel anything in your knees, in your quads, in your hips, in your glutes? And finally, scan up your torso. Do you feel anything in your lower abdominals, middle abdominals, upper abdominals? Okay, if you've been holding all this time, I'm really proud of you. Release. Stretch out those legs if you need to. Wiggle them a little bit. Great job. All right, one last time. Let's just try to do 3 straight bumps together, okay? Knees bent, ankles in, elbows in, hands in prayer position, and bump. 1, 2, 3. Great job. Okay, now that you have the straight bump down, I'm going to show you the next click up from there is the side bump. So rather than raising straight up, we're going to raise to one side. So think about lifting your hips and looking over one shoulder. So when we raise, this time let's go to our right side. You're going to notice that you're pushing more into your opposite leg, into your left leg. I feel a lot of weight in this left leg and a lot of weight in this right shoulder. As you can see, if I stretch my arm out, my side and my hips are completely up off the ground. And my left hip bone is higher than my right hip bone. I'm twisted to the side. All right, and bring it back down. I'm going to go to the right side so you can see the back of my body, and then we'll talk about the muscles, okay? All right. So for a left bump, I'm going to come up and look over my left shoulder. More weight in my right foot, more weight in my left shoulder, side and hips up off the mat, and down. Okay, shake that out if you need to. If you've never done a move like this before, it can feel odd and maybe a little uncomfortable, but it'll get easier the more you do it. All right, so we're gonna side bump to the right again, and I'm gonna call out the muscles, okay? So I'm bumping to the right. I feel contraction in my left quadricep, left glute. These are the two guys here, quad and glute, that are working really hard. I also feel it in my left hamstring. So this whole leg is really activated. This right leg is not really doing anything. He'll come in handy later. But for now, my left side is the one that's doing all the work, and my weight is pushing back into the ground in my right shoulder. My core is tight, my hands are still in prayer position, my elbows are in tight. And release. I'm gonna spin around so when I bump to my right, I'm also facing you. Now when I right bump, when I left bump, all of my power and weight is pushing out of my right side. I feel a lot of weight in my right ankle and in my left shoulder. Again, hips are up, back is up, not on the ground. My right hip bone is higher than my left. And I'm gonna bring it back down. So when we practice this in class, we'll typically go from side to side. So we'll bump back and forth, and it'll look a little like this. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. All right? So before we close for today, let's just practice those 2 techniques one last time. So we'll do straight bump, right bump, left bump. Okay? Straight bump, right bump, left bump. Fantastic. I hope that didn't feel too strange and that you actually enjoyed it. It's a good little hip and leg stretch whenever you need one, and this is something that you can do really easily at home while you're watching TV, or right when you wake up in the morning, or right before you go to bed. But so much of our power is going to come from our thighs and hips and butt and core.
that's starting to wake those muscles up and use them a little bit more and give them a little bit more love and attention, it's gonna make your jiu-jitsu better. So do that whenever you can, and hopefully this video has been helpful. I will see you on the mat. Thank you.